All right, bro. So I have been back to doing the basics for like a week straight. And if you have been inconsistent, if you feel like you have been slipping, if you feel like something is missing in your life, go back to the basics, right? Because and what I mean by basics is what you started doing to improve your life, what you started doing to improve your growth, right? Because often what we do is we start doing something and it's good for us, right? We meditate, we go to the gym, we eat clean, we journal, all of that good shit, right? We start doing something to improve our life. And after a certain period of time, we stop doing that thing because we think we're above that thing. We think like, all right, I've been, let's say, meditating for a whole year. I don't need meditation anymore, right? Because it's been a year. I don't need it anymore, and suddenly you stop and like you don't notice the effect for a couple of weeks, but then a couple of weeks pass and it's gradually and slowly starting to affect your performance, your life, everything. And you don't really notice it because it's gradual, right? It's like the frog. If you've ever heard about the frog like thing, if you put a frog in boiling water, it will jump out. But if you put the frog in a pot of water and you gradually heat up the pot, it will stay until it's too it's like it cannot escape anymore because it's too hot, right? So it will gradually adapt until didn't even notice it could not escape anymore. And it's the exact same thing with your life. You put yourself into those situations of like you don't actually really notice it. You don't really notice it until it's too late. So you put yourself in those situations and every single week it's getting gradually weaker and weaker, like less every single week you're getting gradually less performative, like you're less focused, you're less good with your work every single week until you notice it finally, like damn, my life has sucked recently. And why is that happening to me? It's because you dropped the good habits that put you into that situation in the first place. And this is what I meant by going back to the basics. This is what I've been doing for like a week, and I feel so good already. All the good habits that I picked up like 2, 3, 4 years ago that I gradually, stopped doing because I thought that I was above those habits. I started to do them again, and my life has been feeling so good. I've been feeling so good, so productive, so free. Like it's hard to explain that feeling, but I just feel free. I feel like I can actually perform the work that I'm supposed to. I just feel good. I just feel free, right? And it's so stupid of us to think that we're above those habits because we started doing them in the first place to improve our life. But if you think that there's ever going to be a period where you're going to be above those habits, it's so wrong. Because imagine for a second you're an athlete, right? You're like a basketball player or a baseball player. You need to train every single day. Because if you train for like 10 years, right? Imagine LeBron James. He trained for like 30 years or some shit like that. 20, 30 years. And imagine tomorrow he says, "All right, I've been training for like 20 years. I don't need to train anymore." What do you think is going to happen? He's going to gradually, not right away, but gradually start performing worse and worse and worse every single match until he's like, until he doesn't perform at all. And this is the exact same thing that we've been doing right now. We stopped the good habits and it affected our performance gradually. So this is why if you started doing a good habit and you suddenly felt like you were above the habit, don't. You never will be. You pick up the good habit and you need to do that habit like literally until you die, because otherwise you'll just revert back to the person you were before you starting doing those good habits. If that's what you want, fine. This is not what I want for me. And I know if you started doing those habits, it's because you wanted to change. You didn't want to be that same person. So if you don't want to be that same person, right? Don't do the actions that you were doing when you were that person. And one of those actions were not doing the good habits, not doing the habits that change your life. You were not doing those habits before. So you're going to just revert back to that person. And if it's not what you want, then pick those habits again. Like go back to the basics is basic. This is what I call it. Going back to the basics. And it really, like, honestly, for me, it's been one of the best period of my life, because for the last year I've neglected the habits, right? I've neglected the basics, and I felt bad. I really felt, I did feel bad. I didn't feel good at all. But ever since I picked up those habits again, like ever since I went back to the basics, my life has been so good. So good. I've been so consistent. Like everything has been awesome. I feel sharp. I feel motivated. I feel disciplined. Like everything just feels right. Everything is just easier. And it's because I lost myself, right? I reverted back to the old version of me that everything felt hard, and like I reverted back to a version of me that I didn't want to be, right? Because I was trying to change back then. But when I stopped doing the basics, I basically reverted back to that version, and I was not happy back then. And chances are, if you started doing those habits, we're not happy either. So why change, right? Why change? It's like, why change a winning formula? If you started doing something and you felt the improvement and you felt like yourself growing and you felt happier, why stop then? It's so dumb. It is so stupid of us to think we're above those habits. Because as soon as we stop doing those habits, we revert back to that version of us that we didn't like. It's arrogant of us to think that there's ever going to be a period of our life where when we're not going to be needed those habits. So right now, if you've been like me, if you felt like you something was missing in your life, like you didn't recognize yourself, just go back to the basics. Go back to what worked and start doing exactly what worked, because otherwise you just revert back to a version of you that you don't like. And we don't want that, right? We want constant improvements, constant growing. And you're not going to grow if you revert back to your old self. So go back to the basics, go back to what works, and don't stop doing it. Now that you have that knowledge in your hand, go and apply it in your life. And remember, I truly believe in you. Ciao.